Okay, so good morning, everybody. I am here this morning with a Shaklee colleague named Bonnie Zeman, and she is a business leader out in a little town called Poinet, Wisconsin, which sounds beautiful. I've never been that far north, so I'm excited to go someday and check out that area. But yeah, I asked her to come on this morning and just share a little bit about her health journey. So Bonnie, we get two Bonnies to talk about health this morning.
I think
That's
Bonnie is beautiful, doesn't it?
yeah. So
On the
that's
banks of Loch Lomond.
yes. I love it. I love it. So Bonnie, I know I've just heard that you have a really amazing health journey that you've been on. And amazing, not all positive, you had some real challenges. And so I would love to hear that. And so tell me a little bit about where you were before you found Shaklee, before you discovered Shaklee, um, you know, leading up to maybe the big turnaround.
Yeah,
Where
well,
was your health at?
I sure will. I'm always happy to help. I'm always happy to tell people about my story because there's an element uh, of God in it also,
Mm.
that He was very, very integral in all of it. I think He could have just swooped down and healed me in, a couple of months, but He wanted me to learn how to eat. I would have had to have had a miracle every week in order to maintain it because I did not know how to eat or how to supplement my body or anything. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease for
Mm,
14 years. Um, but even before then, I was very sickly as a child.
mm,
I can remember having to put things off. I'm I'm a, I'm a musician. I'm a singer, a coloratura soprano, and I couldn't do any of those things as I went through high school because I was always developing another sore, another sickness, another. Sickness just robs you of your life completely. It's a full-time job. So
oh, good way to put it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so that's what I did from the time I was just a little girl. One earache right after another, boils, and I was addicted to sugar. Although we didn't know back in those days, that was a component of feeding a bacteria in my body that was really bad for me.
Mm.
And so that's how my life went back in those days. But then finally, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease um, after I was married. um, I just became so ill. Any little bit of stress would just put me down. But I was still pretty functional until one day it was just totally insidious. Having to go to the bathroom and vomit at the same time, like 30 to 60 times a day. You don't even have a.
Oh my.
So it was disgusting and horrible. And so
Yeah.
when I went to the doctor and they suggested, you know, they would suggest a surgery here and a surgery there, and have all these tubes in me, and then they'd say, now you're going to be better, and I never got better. Nobody changed my diet. Nobody told me about supplements or anything like that. And it was really only so that went on for about 14 years, very, very bad. And sometimes I'd have a little bit of, where I could go somewhere, and then, but it never lasted. Any little bit of stress would put me down. Um, I married this wonderful man, and right in the midst of me being so ill like that, I married John Zeman, and he always told me I was going to live. He always told me that, and we didn't have any evidence of that. And so uh, when I had had four surgeries, and one of them was a vagotomy where they cut all the nerves from my brain to my stomach, thinking that it wouldn't ulcer up anymore. It wouldn't, you know. That was probably the worst one. Um,
Ah,
and so anyway, that was an amazing thing. But my beautician, and I go to her all the time, she's just loves wellness. And so I walked in there after they had told me they wanted to remove my entire colon. And I don't know if I would be a colostomy at that point. I think I would.
yeah, yeah,
And
right.
I didn't really understand that part, but
Oh,
that was what, and here's the way they put that. You have qualified for this surgery.
woo, like some award, right?
Yeah, isn't that funny? So I qualified for the surgery, and I looked at him, and after 4 times of them telling me that I would be well, and they said they could give me 7 more years. This is way back in the day. I don't know what they do now. I have heard that it's pretty much the same. But I just walked out of there and I said, I think I would rather just go home and die than to have another surgery, because it was so painful and debilitating that I felt like it was unbearable. So that's what I did. I was on my way home and I decided to stop at my beautician. And I just said, just cut my hair, Arlene. I just want to go home. And they had just scoped me. And so you're sick for days after that. And then not just that, they in the preparation that they give you, they have an antibiotic. So they run that through you. So any good bacteria that you had accumulated
That
is
you
now.
built up. Yeah.
I don't recommend those things for two people, although they got to do what they want to do. But
Oh my.
I on my way home, she had a big smile on her face when I came in there. And I had a privilege because of all the years we've been together to just walk in and say, just cut my hair. And she said, somebody walked this book in there. It was called Ounce of Prevention #3. And it had a testimonial in there of a girl who got well from Crohn's disease. Now she wasn't near as bad, she hadn't had any surgeries or anything, but she was not near as bad as I was. And so she handed me it and she said, "You just got to do this." I said, "I'm not doing anything anymore. I quit." And
Oh,
what she did is she's so sneaky. She sent it home to my husband, and it was there the next day. I don't know how she did that, but it was there the next day. And he got a hold and said, "Look, if she got well, you're going to get well." He said, "I think this is it." And I said, "No, it's not it, because I'm not going to do one more thing." Now, they had filled me full of aloe vera and some icky green stuff and things like that. And so I was not willing to try. But when he said, "You're going to do it, you're going to do it." You know, we had many people pray for me. I've been a lot of different places and nothing ever changed, except my faith maybe grew a little stronger, just knowing that God had me carved into the palm of his hand, and that there was an answer for me, even if it were death. I was not afraid anymore. Because when you're in that much pain and taking care of things every day, it doesn't really matter anymore. Your days go into your nights and your nights into your days.
yeah, yeah.
My husband got a hold of this stuff. We called this guy by the name of Pete. Pete from his own inventory came down the pathway. Now this is 28 years ago. He came down the pathway in a brown paper bag, and there was some vitamins in there, and that's what I was supposed to try.
And
And
this was when you got introduced to Shaklee
yeah, yeah,
28 years ago.
28 years ago.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
took these vitamins. I had some calcium and B complex and this horrible tasting stuff called instant soy protein. And I took it twice a day. And in about 4 days, I just wanted to sit up. I just wanted to be up. I had a caretaker and she was scolding me. And I said, "No, I want to just be up for a little while." In 2 weeks, I took my dog out for a walk. I actually dressed myself. I didn't need any help or anything. And I dressed myself. I think I took a shower. I'm not sure. But I have these little Skipper Key dogs. And I put a leash on Pepsi, and out the door we went. And Pepsi, and I think I had Joy Bell with me then too. And they looked at me and it was like, "We don't go walking. We stay in bed." And
Like, what are you doing?
so I went down the road for two, 2 blocks, I would say, and then back. And I went, huh, I have a life. I went walking in the door and I have a life. And I looked over on the counter and we were living out at the lake at that time. And I said, I wonder if it's these damn vitamins I'm taking. That's how I prefer, that's how I called them. And so I just stayed on that journey. I was getting more and more excited as the days went by. I'm not saying that the diarrhea cleared up overnight, but I am saying that I had a cognitive kind of energy, and I knew what day it was. I knew, it was all different. I don't know how to explain energy, but there's a focus that comes with
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and a wanting to do more. And so it was like for me to go somewhere to a meeting, like a Shaklee meeting, I'd have to prep myself for about, you know, maybe 12 hours and not eat anything or anything like that. Because my food would go through me like a screaming freight train. And so
Yeah.
I wanted to go to these meetings that I heard that Shaklee had. And so I would find them and go to them and just sit there and listen to the testimonies. And then, so it was that kind of a procedure. In 3 months, I began to call my doctors. And although they wouldn't talk to me at first because they wanted me to do the surgery. And
Right.
I said, look, I was on a lot of prednisone. I was on a lot of the sulfasalazine drugs. And
Mhm.
I said, I'm going to stop taking these because I heard at a meeting, at a Shaklee meeting, that if I wasn't taking all this medication, that maybe the nutrients that I'm putting in my body would even work better. And they just sort of laughed at me, And I never got a chance to talk to the doctor. And I said, look, this is my body. This is another thing I heard at a Shaklee meeting. This is my body. And I'm going to stop taking these medications. Um, but if I do, I've heard that I will convulse. And I said, and that's on you. If you won't help me to get off of the medication and stop
So
things,
yeah, you were telling them, I need your help to
I,
do this,
I,
and this is what
I
I want to do.
definitely did because I needed smaller amounts of that prednisone so I could go down at a lower pace.
Yes.
And
Yes.
at that time, I was on 40, 50 milligrams a day. And so they were taking me off just 5 milligrams at a time. I'd go a certain number of days. I don't remember that, but they set it up. And they said, okay. And here's what they said to me. This was so mean. They said, but this time you'll die. And, but, I wasn't afraid to die. It was kind of a welcome kind of thing rather than what I was going through. But anyway, they took me down, and in 4 months, I was off of all of my medications. It felt a little funny at first, but I didn't care because I had this cognitive kind of thing in a small amount of energy, which I hadn't had in years. And then the
Yeah.
diarrhea began to decrease. I even used herbal extract because somebody told me to. At those meetings, they would tell me what to do. And then I would corner people after the meeting and say, okay, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? And they would tell me more. The person who was bringing Shaklee over to me, this is not a good testimonial, but he died. And so I went up to a sales leader by the name of Marge Wells, and she was a nurse, and she told me everything that I needed to do. She tried
Yeah.
to not interfere with this guy, but he was just different. Anyway, if you don't get happy with one person, go up your line and find the person who will help you. So she
Yeah.
did. She really helped me a lot. She told me what to take. I think I just took everything. Um,
Mhm.
Even when we were broke, I did not stop. And even John, he would say, he'd say, "Well, we'll find it somewhere." He had pulled a hamstring, and so he couldn't work just for a little while. No, my husband's a builder,
Hmm.
a finisher, and he's just a kind of a rough guy, and so he would always find work. And even all the neighbors around us, all of a sudden, as if in a miracle. They would say, John, will you do this with the windows, or will you do the yard? Will you do? And he'd come home with a fistful of dollars. He's such a wonderful man. He'd say, go get some more of that Shaklee stuff. So, we just did it as we could, but we always made sure that I had enough.
That you had what you needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I had what I needed. And then when I'd go to meeting, I'd add a little more. So, I say that because I like to encourage people to do what they can.
Yeah.
You can't take 6 of this, take as many as you can in that day, or civics or whatever. Do the best you can and persevere and believe that God wants you well, because you got stuff to do on this earth.
I love that.
That stuff. And so as time went on, I got better and better. Pretty soon the diarrhea stopped completely. I was able to go to conventions. I just learned, it's just like a whole new world opening up for me, because I only knew even as a child, I had like 9 brothers kind of thing. Now 7 brothers, and there were 9 of us in the family. And so you survive, you get by. And I was the only girl, so you really survive. So what I'm saying is that I got better and better. And I'm 76 this year.
What? I would have never guessed your age at 76. I would never.
Yeah, now I can use all the Shaklee products. So, but anyway, I've never lived healthy. And so like this morning, I found some fuchsia in some of the plants my kids gave me. And it's a flower that's opening up, and there's another flower inside of it, and it has all these little things in there. And I go like, God, you're so creative. How could you ever have made something like this that is so beautiful? So I was taking pictures of it to put out on Facebook about the creativity of God. So, I was a jail pastor, and they ordained me for that so that I could go in. And I like people who have spent it all and they have nothing left, and they come to the bottom. And so, I had stuff to do. I run prayer lines. There's all kinds of things to give people hope in this day and age. And I believe that the nutrition is the biggest part of that. Is the body what it needs so it can heal. And it was already inside of me. So my health was already inside of me, but it didn't have any food. And so as I began to put food in there, even if it was disgusting for me to swallow, that's the way the instant soy cream was for me at that time, because I was used to everything with sugar, and so I really learned to love every bit of nutrition. I love instant protein today. And it maybe has a texture I didn't care for at that time, but it's life to me. And life is wonderful. The smells and the sunshine that you feel, the birds singing right now, and even when the snow flies. I'm just saying that there's a component to life that isn't all about money. It isn't all about, some of the other things that people hang on to. So, like going into the medical community. You may want to cut this out, but there's a weaponry in the medical community, and they're not open to anything else. It'd be so wonderful if they would come together, because I needed their help. But some of the stuff, if they had more nutrition, the right kind of nutrition, because they want to use synthetics and crystallized and all of that, and that's not going to work. Yeah. So Shaklee, the company that God gave me when the time was right. Isn't that funny how I was walking away from that medical community, and I walked right into my beautician's office, and and I had said no more. no more of that surgery, no more of the drugs, just not going to do it. And so, I mean, I had a lot of it. And I walked in, and right there was the answer for me, because God wanted to get it to me all along. And look at the hundreds, maybe
Yeah.
thousands of people I've helped in between there too. I'm doing it again today. I won't hold back. I'm not going to stop. So
That is so amazing. Like, I love your story of like, it's a story of redemption almost,
yeah,
like just,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, on that physical level, but we also know that what you've said, your physical health affects so many other areas of your life that
I missed my children's childhood. I missed my grandchildren, but I just had my first great grandchild.
ah,
And she's amazing. I was singing to her the other day.
you get another chance
Yeah,
with a baby.
that's God. That's God. So, hey,
That is
I'm,
awesome.
I can have a copy of this when you're all done here.
Yes, I will. I will send you a copy of this. That would be great. Now tell me real quick. I know this is more focused on your health journey, but just a little bit. I know you were not probably thinking about owning a business at the time that you were getting healthy. You were just focused on getting healthy.
Yeah.
But how did this kind of happen as far as taking Shaklee as a lifetime career option?
Well, it's not very dramatic. My husband got up one day and he said, I want to take Shaklee too. I said, we don't have money for that. I was always the one that was bringing in the practical end of that. And,
Hmm.
and I said, well, I'm an insurance agent and I've been in that kind of business. Maybe I can find some people to buy Shaklee. I walked into the church after about 2 years of not being able to go there anymore. This is what really tipped it off for me. I walked in there and there was a woman that was down in the basement, and even my face had changed. Everything had changed about me because I weighed 74 pounds when I started this journey. And so when I walked in there, I had color in my face. I put on some pounds, and I had a health about me. And she said, Bonnie, is that you? She didn't recognize me. And I said, yeah. I said, somebody told me about Shaklee and I got well. She said, you know what? This is a woman who prayed for me. Like, she would come and pray for me at the altar. And she even brought food over to my house. She was very loving, very kind. And she said, you know what? I'm a Shaklee distributor. And I said, what? I said, how come you didn't tell me about Shaklee? 11 years she did not tell me about Shaklee. And it was such a dynamic uh, opening for me that she could be in front of me and care more. What she said was, I didn't know what you would say. And I said, no, you just cared more about yourself than you did me. And when I said that, I heard those words come out of my mouth. And I said, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to care more about me than I do about other people. And so she really opened up a door that you don't let people suffer around you. You lay yourself on the line and become vulnerable and open in front of them and share what you have to share, and ask them if they would like to know how other people have gotten well too. There's a component of God that is so rich in that. But anyway, she taught me a lesson, and I decided I would never be like that. I would never
Hmm.
let people suffer around me, and that's what she did. I know her to this day. She still doesn't get it. But anyway, you just forgive and go on. But the lesson was there for me.
Yeah.
And, and so I began to just share with Shaklee because now John wanted to take the vitamins. He said, I heard this GLA stuff is really good. He said, I've got some arthritis. And he said, I heard that that's really good. I said, that's for women. I said, I think you won't have to shave anymore if you use that stuff.
Wouldn't that be great?
He uses all of it now. So, but anyway, that was the start of me saying, well, now I have to create some income. And And so it wasn't, I would say it took me about 2 years to get well, but you know what? We didn't have any bacteria back in those days. And so all we really had was a few testimonials of other people who had done it. And I would listen very carefully. We didn't have technology to learn about it. You had to go and find them in another meeting, or maybe somebody would give you their phone number.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it was all different. So when you said that we could make a recording of this, I thought, what a good idea, because then we can tell more people that there's
That's right.
hope. And
That's
so
right. Yep.
personally, you take a lot of protein, you take a lot of good bacteria and put it in. There's two different kinds, multivitamins. I use, I guess I just use them all. I got a big case and I've got everything in there that I need. But I have never lived like this in my life. I am very healthy. In about a few minutes, I'm going to saddle up the dog here and we're going to go out and do a couple miles. At my age, that's pretty good. And
Yeah.
I'd still be running had I not fallen and broken my wrist.
Oh,
But anyways, my bones are all strong from the prednisone that I was taking. I had huge amounts of prednisone. And so when I began to use Shaklee calcium, after about 10 years, I was able to get implants because you lose teeth and things. I also was scoped after about 10 years, and the guy came downstairs because they had to repair a hernia. And the guy came downstairs after the scoping, and he said, I saw your x-rays from before. He said, it looked like a piece of Swiss cheese. He said, you're all healed up in there. He said, did you go to like to Oral Roberts or something? And I was happy. And I was telling him about the tocopherols in the vitamin E, how it gets rid of scar tissue on the inside of your body so you can establish good bacteria. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, okay. He didn't want to hear any more about my healing, but
wow.
so it is substantiated after that. That was about 10 years afterwards. But in your body, because you can tell you're getting better.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Bonnie, that is just amazing. And I love your story. And we could talk more, and I know we will. Because I'm thankful that now we're connected with our larger Shaklee family across the US, and I'm meeting more and more business leaders who are wanting to grow and take their business to the next level, and that's really fun. So I thank you so much for your time this morning, and I do hope that we can get this out to more and more people who see hope when they feel like nothing else is left, that they've tried everything and they've hit rock bottom, that no, there is still hope to rebuild your health no matter how far you feel like you've gone.
Yeah.
So that is awesome.
Thank you, Bonnie. You have a wonderful day now.
Okay, you too.
All right. Talk to you later.